Welcome to the VisualCAD Quick Start tutorial series, brought to you by MecSoft. Today we'll be demonstrating rectangular nesting. Before we begin, let's talk a bit about the VisualCAD display. When you run VisualCAD for the very first time, your screen may look like this. These windows on the left belong to plugin modules that are currently loaded. For now, let's close all of them. Now, let's begin by launching the VisualCAD Nest module. From the Plugins pane of VisualCAD's home ribbon bar, you will see the VisualCAD main menu. Drop down the menu and pick Nest to load the nesting module. Docked on the left, you will see the nesting browser. Notice that it is organized into tabs, representing each step in the nesting process. You can resize the width of the browser, making sure that all of the command icons and menus are easily accessible. Now, let's load the part file containing the geometry for nesting. From the VisualCAD main menu, select Open. Locate the VisualCAD Quick Start folder shown here. Then, select the VisualCAD part file named Rectangular Nest Quick Start Tutorial and then pick Open. The following basic steps are included in the nesting process. First, we load the VisualCAD Nest module and define the nesting type to be performed. Then, we open the VisualCAD drawing where the stock material and production parts are staged. Then, we select the sheets to nest our parts in, and then select the parts to nest. We choose our desired nesting parameters. Then, we preview the nest, making any final adjustments. Finally, we commit the nest, creating the actual nested sheet geometry. Let's take a look at what we've done in VisualCAD to prepare for nesting. You can refer to this as the staging process. We have brought together and located on the screen the geometry that we want in the nesting process. As you can see, we have one or more shapes that represent the stock or the remnant material. We also have one or more shapes that represent the production parts that we want to nest within the stock material. Here are two tips to consider when staging your parts. First, when you stage your parts, stage them around the outside of the stock material, not within the stock material. The nesting software will place the parts in the stock for you. Secondly, do not place parts inside the cutouts of larger parts, as this may confuse the nesting software into thinking that it is a detail of the larger part. Keep all of your parts separated. Now, from the nesting browser, choose the Select Type of Nesting tab. In this guide, we will be demonstrating rectangular nesting, so we will select that option. You will notice a Help button located on each tab of the nesting browser. Selecting it will display documentation for each option on the active tab. From the Select Sheets tab, pick Select Curves. Now, we select the shapes that represent the stock material and then right-click or press Enter to end the selection. Notice that an entry is made into the table. A default name is generated as well as the count, and we'll get back to the grain direction in just a little bit. Let's change the count to 2. This means that there are 2 identical sheets used to nest the parts. You can select additional shapes for stock, but all of them must be rectangular. Next, we'll select our parts to be nested. Pick the Select Parts tab of the nesting browser, and then pick Select Curves. Then, we'll window select all of our part geometry and then right-click or press Enter to add each part to the parts list of the nesting browser. The nesting software determines the exterior and interior of each selected part. As we can see in the parts list, each exterior closed curve is defined as one part. Any interior closed curves are defined as holes within each part. If we select a part from the parts list, we see that it is highlighted in the graphics window. If a part has multiple interior cutouts, each is listed in the parts list under its associated part. Now we select the count column from any part in the parts list and then type in 50 and press Enter. Since we want all parts to have the same count, we right-click on the count we just entered and pick Make All the Same, and the counts for each part are updated. Now, we'll select the Choose Nesting Parameters tab of the nesting browser to set two other parameters. The first one sets the distance between adjacent parts. Here, we'll enter 0.15. The second is the distance between the outermost parts and the outer edge of the stock material. For this, we'll enter 0.25. There are also options to automatically tag each nested part, and layout options for arranging your nested sheets. Now we'll select the Estimate Number of Sheets button. We see that the number of sheets required is greater than the number of sheets we entered on the Select Sheets tab, so we select the Update Sheet Count button. We are informed that the sheet count has been updated, and we pick OK to close the dialog. Now we'll select Execute Nest, and we're moved automatically to the Preview Nesting tab. Here, you can preview each sheet and request a report if needed. The last thing we want to do is to impose a grain direction control on this larger part to force it to be vertical. In order to do that, I need to specify the grain direction on the stock material as well as that part. First, we'll go back to the Select Sheets tab and set the grain direction to a long X. Then, on the Select Parts tab, I will set the grain direction on this larger part to be a long Y. Now, we'll select the Choose Nesting Parameters tab. We'll execute the nest and then preview the nest, and we'll see the part is now aligned vertically. Each time the nest is generated, the system will calculate an efficiency factor, referred to as % utilization of the stock material. Once satisfied with the layout of the nest, we will select the Commit Nest button. This writes the geometry of the individual sheets onto individual layers in your current CAD part file. The geometry can then be used for machining or any other application you wish. This completes the Quick Start tutorial for rectangular nesting. For further assistance, you can visit the online help supplied with the program or visit www.mecsoft.com for additional tutorials. Thank you.